for Inspirational Talks with Laura Simmons and friends. Holla Chi Town, Scream ATL, Shout Carolinas. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Inspirational Talks with Laura Simmons and friends. We are in the building.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Inspirational Talks with Laura Simmons and friends. I am Laura Simmons, y'all. So today, y'all, I got my girl here, Dr. Tamika Johnson, y'all. So, but y'all, let me tell y'all something interesting. Today, wait a minute, I'm sorry, y'all. I can hear my voice over the other way. So today, y'all, I just want to say, I'm just grateful to be here. You know, sometimes we have challenges and that we don't tell everybody about, and medical issues we dealing with, mental issues that we might be dealing with, and we just don't tell nobody what we are going through. And sometimes it's a struggle, you know, with everything that we're going through. It be a struggle, but I'm just so grateful that I know God, and because that is so important. I wouldn't be able to move forward, you guys. I'm not gonna even lie to y'all and tell y'all something different. I wouldn't even be able to move forward if I did not have him in my life. You know, some of y'all know the anniversary of my daughter's passing is coming up. It's next month, and these last couple of weeks has been a real struggle for me. But I'm gonna be all right because I know my father got me. You know, every step of the way, I know that he got me, and I'm gonna be all right. So, with that being said, um, Tamika, how was your day?
My day was pretty good. I'm still in the classroom teaching, and so we kind of winded down our school year. So it was busy but productive, and so a little tiring after this weekend that was super busy. I was in a play this weekend in Milwaukee, and it was exhausting, but it was fun, and so my body is still trying to
No,
recoup.
I'm trying to recruit from it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How long was the play? Was it for just the weekend only?
Yeah, so it was a 1 day show. And
Okay.
so the producer of the play, the director, the producer, he's from Milwaukee, and he does plays throughout the country, but he always give back to the Milwaukee area and give a smaller play, which he did. And so it was like an hour 15-minute play, hour 30-minute play, but it was a 1 day show,
Mhm.
7 weeks of rehearsing. And again, that was my debut acting. So
Oh, okay.
so
Well, you got to start somewhere. I
yeah,
started from the bottom. Now I'm here. That's what you're supposed to say. I
yeah,
started from the bottom. Now I'm here. You
yeah.
never
And
know where it's going to take you.
so with that, every day after work, doing my life coaching stuff, all of these things, rehearsing, trying to memorize lines. And so it's finally over. So my body is still tired, but we winding down the school year, and different things, God has in store for me. So
Yes,
yeah, but I had a wonderful day today.
that's good.
It was good.
So,
Yeah.
so Tamika, with that being said, tell people a little bit about who Tamika is. And you don't have to give us them the whole scoop about you, just a little something to get them to know who Tamika Johnson is.
Well,
Or shall I say Dr. Tamika
Dr.
Johnson?
Tamika. Wait a minute. Earned doctor degree.
Yeah, no, that's right.
So, but yeah, Tamika Johnson. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm an educator, teacher. I've been a teacher for about 24 years. I taught kindergarten through 12th grade, middle school, high school, ELA, kindergarten through first grade for 13 years. I'm a life coach, a teacher coach, and a community advocate and a mental health advocate. So I spend most of my time, empowering people. So that's what I do. I empower people to be the best version of themselves, And so that's just who I am. I'm a mother, a wife, and a grandmother. So yeah. So but that's who I am. An author as well too. So but we'll
Oh,
get
that
into
is
that a
so
little bit more.
cool. Yeah, that is so nice to hear. I like to hear the fact that you like to help empower other people.
Most
That's the
definitely.
most important part because, sometimes when we get into positions, we forget that, to take that hand and put it out to help somebody else because,
Right.
that's where you get your blessings from. And most people don't know that. A lot of people think that I'm just going to hold on to what I got. And when you hold on to what you got, guess what happens? You can't get nothing else in there. So if you can't get
Yep.
nothing else in there goes your blessings. They passing you and going to somebody else. So remember that, people. You know, don't hold on to everything that you have because guess what? It's you are meant to give to help somebody else. It's meant for you to help somebody else. And if you
Right. Yeah.
don't,
Right.
you gonna watch that other person that your blessing that was supposed to come to you is gonna go to somebody else that was willing to help somebody else out. So yeah,
Right.
I
And
like
as a
that.
teacher, yeah, as a teacher, it's a calling. A lot of people go to school to be a teacher, but it's really a calling. And in that profession, that's all you do is give, give. And it's also important in your giving that you're taking care of yourself. So that's where the mental health advocacy stuff come from, you know taking care of yourself too while you out here empowering and helping other people and making sacrifices for other people, making sure you don't forget about you in the midst of it. Because good if you can't help anybody if you're not any good mentally, physically, emotionally. You want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself too. So
Yeah, and that is important because sometimes we forget about ourselves when
right,
in the everyday situations. Like you work every day. Sometimes you forget about yourself, and you should be treating yourself to something just about every day. You should
yep,
be doing something for yourself. If it
right,
ain't nothing but soaking your daggone feet every day, that's something. But
right.
treat yourself to something.
That is so true. Yeah, so
Hmm.
true, so true.
Like when you go get your hair done, how do you feel when you get your hair done? You feel beautiful, right?
Right.
That's giving something back to you, and that's part of the mental health thing.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely.
So when you say that you like to, you're an advocate of mental health, what made you want to do, help people, other people out, or be an advocate to it?
So first of all, most of the time, when we think about mental health, when a lot of people think about mental health, they go straight to mental illness.
Mhm.
And my focus on mental health is our mind. Everybody has a mind, and everyone has a mental. So, and it's important for us to take care of that mental health part of it, right? You got a physical body and you got a mental body. And for me, um, I know that your mind is the steering wheel to your life. I say that often. Your mind is the steering wheel to your life. And whatever direction that you steer your mind goes, your whole being goes. And so I know for us, if we want to be the best version of ourselves, we have to make sure that we are being kind to our minds. And what does that look like? It looks like taking mental breaks when you need to. We talk about all the hats that we wear. We talk about being a mother, being a wife, being a educator, being all these different things for other people. But if we don't take care of our minds, then what happens? We're no longer able to take care of ourselves or anybody else. And so for me, when I even in my life coaching business, people talk about everything they want to be in life. But if you don't have a healthy mindset, there's no way for you to get to your goals. We talk about crime in our city. I also talk about that crime in our city. Why do we see so much crime, killing and murder? Then we understand that people aren't taking care of their mind. People are not understanding what does it mean to maintain and sustain your mental health. What are you thinking about? Are you thinking positive thoughts? I often say if you're thinking negative thoughts all the time, guess what? You're going to have a negative life. If you're not learning how to control your emotion, guess what? You're going to have a negative life. So I really empower people to, first of all, love yourself, then love others, and then also practice having a growth mindset. When you practice having a growth mindset, um, that's where you can see positive, you'll have positive outcomes in your life. So when I talk about mental health, I just come from a practical perspective, maintaining. And what is the downfall of not maintaining our mental health? You make yourself more susceptible to mental illness.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that anxiety and depression are the most common mental illnesses in our country. And it's in youth people. And so, how do you eliminate anxiety? For me, from a biblical perspective, I was one who worried a lot, which worry and constant worry is what anxiety, right? And so, from a biblical perspective, the Bible tells us what? Be anxious for nothing, think on these things. And so that's how I got into focusing on mental health, because I understood from a biblical perspective that in order for me to be at peace and for me to do what God has called me to do, I must have a healthy mindset. And
Yeah.
then I realized that in our society, people don't focus on the mental, which is simply your mind. And
Mhm.
how many of you know without your mind, guess what? You won't have anything in your life. You know what I'm saying? And so I focus on just eliminating, getting rid of the stigmas when it comes to mental health, maintaining and sustaining your mental health, just erasing all of those stigmas. And for people who do suffer from some sort of mental illness, helping people to understand that there's nothing crazy about them. The brain is just like any other organ in your body that may get sick, right? And
Mhm.
so encouraging people, when your mind is sick, get help, get treatment. Because when you're able to treat yourself, you're able to have a better life. And I use this analogy all the time. When a person has cancer or high blood pressure or any of those physical illnesses, what do? We encourage them to go to the hospital and get treatment. What happens if they don't get treatment? It's probably to their detriment. It's the same way with our mental. Our mental, sometimes our mind get ill, get sick, and we have to encourage our loved ones to get treatment. But there are also ways um, to eliminate some of those possibilities. You know what I'm saying? By just maintaining, practicing, thinking positive, practicing, meditating, practicing, taking mental breaks when you need to,
Yeah.
you know. And so that's what I encourage people. If you want to be the best version of yourself, you want to make sure that you are taking care of your mental. You want to be kind to your mind. Take breaks as often as you need to. So, yeah.
Mm. That's some good information. Do you know by any chance, do most insurance take that take cover mental health?
Yes. So some insurance do cover it, but a lot of times they're limited to
Mhm.
how many sessions and things like that that a person can take. And so for me as a mental health coach, I coach my clients on ways that they could maintain their mental health on their own. There are practical ways that you can take care of your mental health. Exercising your mind. The
Yeah.
same way we exercise our physical body, we exercise our mind to make ourselves less susceptible to mental illnesses and things like that. It's time for us to really think about, I say this often, think about what you're thinking about. If you have negative mindset, practice having a positive mindset, a growth mindset. And so those type of strategies really do work if we work them. So
Okay. Should so do you suggest that they track their symptoms?
most definitely. So for me, I wrote a book called Grow Up on Purpose. Is the book in the journal, right?
Hmm.
In this book, it's a 21-day journey. I call it a 21-day journey to mental freedom. And I talk about the most things that causes us to have mental crisis. And a lot of times those are the things that we are feeding ourselves, the things that we are worried about, the things that we try to control that we don't have control over. A lot of those things affect our mental. And so, like in my book, Grow Up on Purpose, it talks about walking in your purpose, but you cannot walk in your purpose until you have a positive mind, until you have a positive way of viewing yourself, until you learn how to eradicate negative thinking, because negative thinking causes stress. And stress what kills you, right? And so
Mhm.
there are ways. So in this book, there also a journal. So I also have a journal. And what that does, it in the journal, it has prompt questions, and it also helps people to track what's going on in their mind, track
Mhm.
their growth and things like that. And guess what? They can do it with a regular journal. You know, you can track what's going on in your mind. And that's the wonderful thing about journaling. You can take your thoughts, put it on paper. You can go back and reflect. And most of the time, I tell people when you dealing with like sicknesses or emotional fatigue or anger and things like that, it can always most definitely be traced back to what you've been thinking about. I tell people all the time, when you're angry, when you're upset, when you're fearful, stop. But it's a practice. You have to practice these strategies. You have to practice and say, okay, I'm feeling some type of way. And you have to practice and learn how to stop, pause, and then think about what you're thinking about at the time that you're feeling this negative feeling or this negative emotion. It takes practice, but it does work. And oftentimes, when you see negative behavior, it could be traced back to a negative thought pattern
Mhm.
and things like that. And so, but there
Well,
are healthy ways to track
mm.
your thought
So,
process.
so how would you incorporate? Okay, so with the mental thing and the coaching thing, how do you incorporate God into that?
So for me, I am a Christian. My PhD is Christian counseling. And so how I incorporate that, everything, this is one thing I tell people, every terminology in the mental health world right now is all biblical. So even in my book, Grow Up on Purpose, I have these not this book. I have a book, Coping with Mental Stress from a Practical Perspective. And in that book, I have a list of strategies and techniques that I use to help me cope with mental stress. And it's all biblical scriptures. And again, we talk about when Jesus said, think on these things. And when you say think on these things, he said, think on what's loving, what's noble, what's peaceful, and that's meditation.
Mhm.
And then he says, I meditate. And what did David say? I meditate on his word day and night. I always use the biblical scriptures because they align with what? Everything that the mental health specialists are saying. It's all biblical. It's nothing new. Jesus taught us about this back in the Bible days. It says what? As a man thinketh, so is he. So what
Yep.
does that mean? As he thinks, guess what? That's the way his behavior is, or that's the way her behavior is. And so that's why I always say that your mind is the steering wheel to your life. That's biblical. And then the Bible also talks about what? Be ye not conformed in Romans 12 and 2. It says what? Be ye not conformed to the ways of this world, but what? Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So all of these strategies that we hear in terminology, we hear in the mental health world, it's all biblically based.
The
It's
funny
nothing.
thing, guys, look, so not to cut you off,
That's fine.
but what I was gonna say is, I don't know if you guys are aware that she's an ordained minister as well.
Yes,
So yeah, so when she's speaking about the Bible, she's basically she's really ministering to you guys at the same time.
most definitely. And so it's all biblical. And that's what I tell people. Sometimes, so my dissertation, I actually published it last summer, but my dissertation was entitled Religion, Spirituality, and Mental Health. Can it coexist? Because a lot of times in the church realm, we call people that suffer from mental illness, or sometimes the word mental, we don't want to hear it because
Mhm.
they call it demonic.
Mhm.
And that's because of what? Ignorance,
Yep.
not knowing.
Yep.
And the Bible says what? My people perish. In Hosea 4 and 6 says what? My people perish due to a what? Lack of knowledge. And it's
Knowledge.
so important for us to be informed and understand that what the Bible says, what? Jesus was a what? Wonderful counselor. Where do they think he gets that terminology from? Jesus was a wonderful counselor. And anytime he ministered to the people, what? He dealt what was going on in their minds and what was going on in their emotions. He asked the man had asked the woman, Jesus, about murder. He said, if you hate your brother, you are a murderer, right? So he not only deal with the physical, hate comes from what? First in the mind and then in the heart. Your
Right.
intentions is in the mind and then the heart. And so everything that Jesus talked about was, if we read the scriptures, he was actually giving us mental health management. You know what I'm saying? Mental health management. When he cast out demons, what? It was in their minds and their behaviors and things like that. And so it's nothing new. And it's just that in the mental health world, secular world, they just use different terminology, but it's all biblically based. And a lot of them can't ignore that fact anymore. It's all from the Bible. And so the church folks need to know that too. It's all biblical. So that's why even when I talk about mental health from, to religious folks, I had to let them know that it's biblical. The word mental is not a curse word. We all have a mental. It's our mind. That's what mental is, your mind, your brain. And
Mhm.
we have to feed our brain healthy foods the same way we have to feed our bodies healthy foods in order for us to be what? Healthy. And so that's why I talk about the importance of mental health and coaching and because guess what? Everything that we need is already inside of us. Scripture teaches that in 2 Peter 1:3. Everything we need for godliness and holiness is inside of us. But what do I try to do? Empower us to bring it out. Because that's all I'm doing is empowering folks to bring out of them what's already in them. They just unaware of what's in them, their own ability, their own capability. I'm just bringing it up out of them. It's in them already.
Yeah.
You know,
You
even
talking about when you're doing your life coaching.
when I'm
Yeah.
doing a life coaching, even when I'm ministering the gospel, even when I'm talking about the mental health, everything you need is inside of you.
Yeah.
But sometimes we need somebody to inspire us and to motivate us to bring it out, to birth that thing out. And that's what people need. A coach, just like a basketball. One of the greatest basketball players, Michael Jordan, what? He had a coach. He had somebody to bring out of him what was already in him to the forefront, right? And
Mhm.
that's what I do as a life coach, as a mental health coach, as an educator, is bring out of my students or my clients what's already in them. It's in them, you know, to
Mm.
be powerful, it's in them.
So, what does success look like to you?
Success to me looks like, and I don't want to sound redundant, but success to me really looks like um, seeing people around me being the best that they can be, best version. If me empowering somebody to be great, me being able to help somebody reach their goal. I had this young man today. I didn't know this young man from Adam, and I needed assistance for my classroom for a field trip or whatever. And the young man was referred to me, and um, we got to talking. I said, I need you to email me the paperwork so we could confirm this deal, because I'm really big on helping entrepreneurs, especially young Black entrepreneur males, And so the brother was taking his time to send me the information, and I'm like, okay, if he don't send it today, then I'm gonna have to go on with somebody else. I really wanted to help this young brother, but he ended up sending me what I needed this morning, but then I needed some more paperwork. But the Holy Spirit put on my heart, he didn't have his paperwork in order. And for me, what I do as a living too, as a coach, help people open up businesses, like do they paperwork, for them. And so I called the young man. I said, "You don't have all your paperwork in order, do you?" He said, "No." And I said, "Well, this is what I'm gonna do. You're gonna charge me this amount. I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to pay this amount and help you get your paperwork together." And that's what I did. And the young man was like, "You about to make me cry." And I'm like, "You need to be thanking God." But for me, success is being able to see somebody else become successful and reach their goals. That's success to me. Being able to just operate in the gift and the tools that God has called me to. That's success for me. Just being able to just do what God has called me to do, in the, for everybody and for myself, that's success to me.
That's good.
Most definitely.
Um, can anybody be a life coach?
Anybody can try to be a life coach. Can you be everybody can everybody be effective life coach? Probably not in the
Mhm.
same way.
And there, I asked that question because I hear so many people talking about I'm a life coach, and
Uh,
I can tell you a couple of them that I've tried out, and they weren't what they said they were. So
and
that's the reason why I asked that question.
yeah, and you think about everybody think they can be a teacher.
Yep.
People go get their degrees, and once they get in the classroom, they understand that it takes more than a degree to be a teacher. It takes more than a certificate to be a life coach.
Yep.
It has to be in you.
Yep.
And that's why I tell people that ministering, being a life coach, and a teacher, it's a calling. And the only one that can, people that are effective in those areas have a calling, and you can tell the difference. You
Mhm.
just know the difference because some people are just impactful. They're
Yep.
inspiring. They're empowered. When you hear them talk, you just want to be the best version of yourself. You know what I'm saying? They
Yep.
have the skills. Some people are just gifted, and so no, everybody can't, but a lot of people want to be. But
Yep.
everybody can't be a life coach, and everybody can't be just like everybody can't be a doctor. You have some or a lawyer, and so you have to. That's why I say grow up on purpose. This book right here, find out what your purpose is. I know we want to do a whole lot of things in our life, but God did create us all with a purpose. Find out what your purpose is. Go to the one who created you and find out what is your purpose. And so even in my book Grow Up on Purpose, I list SMART goals on identifying your purpose. And there are ways that you can try to identify your purpose and then begin to perfect that thing, or perfect those things. For me, I had to really, it took trial and error for me to really understand and accept what my calling was. And that's empowering other people. When do I feel my best? It's when I'm able to empower other people. And as a teacher, being a teacher for 24 years, that's what I was able to do. So my practice was in the classroom with my kindergarten students and my first grade students. And then I moved on to middle school, and then I moved on to high school, and then I moved on to coaching teachers. And so that's a calling. And your purpose goes with you no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. You're gonna be operating in your purpose. That's your purpose. You're gonna be doing what God has called you to do, regardless of where you go. And so that's how you know that you're operating in your gift. And then being able to accept it, because sometimes we want to be able to do other stuff, but we have to accept what God has called us to do and not look around and see what everybody else is doing and
Yep.
want to do it. Because that's what you see a lot of times. What's that? The trends. Everybody want to be a life coach. Everybody want to be a motivational speaker. Everybody want to do this, but it's not their calling.
Mhm.
And you got to be okay what God has called you to do and
Yep.
be the best at whatever He called you to do.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
And that's so funny that you said that because I remember the very first time I did a speaking event, I was nervous as crap, and I the young lady that invited me to come and do the speaking event, she said, "Laura, you could do it." I said, "No." I said, "I don't think I could do that." She said, "No, you can do it. You just don't know it yet, but you can
right.
do it." So when I got out there, And I started speaking, and I noticed that I had everybody's attention, and I was like, oh wow, so it is something inside me that I'm supposed to be telling people. So
Right.
when I started talking, I kind of, my whole attitude started changing because I started feeling better about myself. When at first I was like so nervous, I was scared to go out there. I was like, oh, this is going to be something else. But I was grateful because my daughter was standing right there with me when I
Right.
did the speaking event. And when I finished, and she seen all these people lining up to talk to me, she said, Ma, you got it. And that's what she told me. She said, you got it. She said, boy, that was a powerful message that you gave. And but to be honest with you, when she told me about doing it, I was like, oh, I don't think so, girl. You got the wrong person.
But
Then
that's
when
what you said. It took her to bring out of you something that was already in you. You
yeah,
just didn't know it.
yep. Then the following year, they called me again and asked me to do it again. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, not a problem. And then when I get there, I'm like, I'm expecting the same little classroom that I had did the
Right.
first speech at. I said, oh yeah, I got this. I could do it. Then when I got there, my eyes was like, you, this is what I'm supposed to be speaking. They said, yeah, you're going to be speaking in the auditorium today. I was like, oh Lord. But yeah, it's a good feeling though, especially when you hear people asking you some of the questions that they were asking, and I was able to answer those questions that they were asking, and I felt so much better afterwards because I said, man, I helped somebody out today. I helped a few
Yes.
people
Yes.
out today. Hmm.
Yes.
But
And
yeah.
that's where you feel more complete. I know for me is when I'm
Hmm.
helping somebody else reach their goals. But I did learn that there has to be a balance in me helping other people and taking care of myself. You know,
Hmm.
so that's
Yeah, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you. So, are you happy?
yes. So for me, yes, I'm happy when I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Hmm.
Sometimes we stay in places too long and we become unhappy.
Yep.
But this is the question someone asked me. Um, the principal at my school, current school, asked me, "Was I happy there?" And this is one thing I teach in my book, "Grow Up on Purpose." Um, I don't, me personally, I wake up every day and I choose to be happy.
Hmm.
I do not let and I had to learn this. It took practice and it still takes practice. I had to not allow my life situations dictate my happiness, my feelings, how I feel about myself. And so that takes practice. And some people may look at your situations and feel like you should be unhappy, or they may look at your life situations and say, "Oh, you should be bitter, you should be miserable," and you're not,
Yep.
because you have mastered the art of making yourself happy.
Yep.
And I teach that in my book, Grow Up on Purpose. Nobody can make you happy. Matter of fact, let me see. In chapter 4, me and my students just read it, and I had to let them know that because they're going to high school now. And I said, nobody, don't ever get in a place where somebody else, you wait depending on somebody else to make you happy. And let me see what happiness comes from within. So that's what I talk about. It comes from within. Whenever we get to a place where we're trying to let external things make us happy, that's when we're going to fail. And that's when you're going to be most unhappy because you're looking for outside influencers to make you happy. You looking, and so if you're looking for happiness, I tell people this all the time. If you're trying to find happiness outside of yourself, guess what? You're going to disappoint yourself every time.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, not saying this is all the time, but a lot of times when people are experiencing depression, and we know that some of it is inherited. So, but a lot of times when people are sad or experiencing depression, they are looking at things outside of themselves and making themselves unhappy, you know, thinking about what they don't have, what other people have, and
Yep.
who don't love them and who they want to love them. And I'm like, nope, that's when you setting yourself up for failure. You have to make sure you have to wake up every single day and determine that I'm going to be happy. You got to make that confession that nobody can make me happy but me. And so one of the songs I listen to, and I change the word to is, and I tell people, choose a song that make you happy. And if you gotta play it every day, play it. And so I play Surface song, Only You Can Make Me Happy, but I changed the lyric that only me can make me happy. And
That's right.
that's real life. That's real life. Only
Mhm.
me can make me happy. I could allow you to try to make me unhappy, but I've made up my mind. Can nobody make me unhappy? You know,
Mhm.
will we be happy just every single day? Does that mean that our lives will be perfect? No. You have to make up in your mind that unfair and even in unfavorable situations, you will have a healthy love and happiness for yourself and about yourself. And that's the only way you can fulfill your purpose is if you keep a healthy mindset, a growth mindset, despite what's going on outside of you or inside of you.
Mm.
So yeah.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about your coaching style.
So for me, my coaching model is mainly for me is um I start off with loving yourself. Anytime anybody comes to me for coaching sessions, I actually have them write down 10 adjectives that describe how they feel about who they are and how they feel about themselves if they love themselves. I want to get to the core before I even deal with why you come and hiring me to coach you on. I need to make sure that you are mentally fit for my life coaching. Because one thing I do tell people is I don't like to take people money. So if you're not mentally fit to complete the task that we agree on, then I don't even want to coach you. And so I first of all I make sure that my clients are mentally fit, physically fit, and then we go on to setting smart goals for whatever they need the coaching in, the areas they need coaching in. And most of the time when they leave, a lot of times my primary focus is, are you operating on purpose? Because if you're not operating on purpose, then you will not complete the task that you want me to coach you with. You have to make sure that you are on purpose and that you know what you are that you do what you're doing
Yep.
for your life. And so yeah, so I usually use and I model. I like to model, for my clients the expectation. And I come alongside with them and like I tell them I don't do the work. So I say if you want me to be your coach, you need to be willing, ready to go.
Mhm.
Ready to do the work. Because it's not for me to do the work, it's for me to coach you, to guide you to completing any task that you have for yourself. Some people tasks are business wise, some are educational wise, and some are mental wise, some are relationships, dealing with their relationships. Again, I make sure that everybody's mentally fit to run it, to handle the coaching.
Okay. Another question: how many hours you have coached?
Ooh, alone. A lot.
Mhm. So you've
Oh,
been in the business quite a while. So
so so for me with my life coaching business, I opened my life coaching business in 2020, August of 2020. But
okay,
I was also a teacher coach for the past 15 years.
okay.
And so educational coach. So it's been a whole I can't even count. I could count in years probably. So over about 15 years.
Mm.
Teacher coaching and the funniest thing about it is even in my academic coaching is always life coaching because one thing I know I need to I'm a firm believer on before I can coach my teachers, even teachers, there has to be some type of relationship bonding that takes place first. And that's dealing with life coach, making sure that they are mentally fit for the coaching. So all of that goes hand in hand for me, making sure you're spiritually, emotionally fit for the coaching. Because sometimes when I give you advice or coaching strategies or things like this, you may not agree with what I say when I'm coaching you. I may say, hey, you need to probably switch this up or do this or something different. And you may not like that. So are you mentally fit to take advice that you probably that's unfavorable for you, that you may not be familiar with? You know, sometimes you got to let go of familiar things or familiar people in order for you to reach your goal. Are you ready to sacrifice these things to reach your goal? So how bad do you want it? It's all up to the client though. It's all up to the client.
Okay.
So
So
now
now, when you do your coaching, do you only do deal with people that's like in your town? You know, do you do online coaching? Do you what? Tell me a little bit
I have
about that.
majority of my when I first started when I first opened my coaching business, most of my clients were out of state. So majority of my clients are out of state. So I do phone coaching, I do online coaching.
Okay.
A lot of my clients are out of state. And I do have in-person coaches. Some people, like in my city, they want to come to my office, but some people just want to come to the office for coaching. But then I have clients that I also do academic coaching, and they're online.
Okay.
So yeah, so I
Mm,
do academic coaching, life coaching, mental health coaching, and a lot of those are online.
okay. And so, do you do the? So, with you being an ordained minister, do you do some of your coaching with the church people as
Hmm.
well?
Most definitely, yeah. A lot of people hire me out to come to their city to speak.
Mm,
Um, yeah. So yeah,
okay.
yes, I do. Yeah, and looking to do more of it. So I'm trying to gradually move myself completely back out the classroom to be able to do this full time, like I was at one point. You know. So yeah.
Okay.
So
So, where can people find you if they're interested in?
So they can go to my website at Grow Up Empowerment, www.growupempowerment.com, and they can book a session online. They can also email me at Tamika at growupempowerment.com and ask me questions, if they're, ask me questions about anything they have in regards to my coaching. But my website again is www.growupempowerment.com, or my email is Tamika at growupempowerment.com. And they can find me on my social media, Facebook, Tamika Johnson, and or Grow Up Empowerment Life Coaching, and Instagram, Tamika.Johnson.10, or at Grow Up Empowerment, Grow Up Empowerment. And then LinkedIn, I'm Dr. Tamika Johnson, PhD. And then I have a YouTube channel as well. They
Okay.
Grew Up Empowerment with Coach Dr. Samika.
So, what you can do if you can type it down there in the
Okay.
comments, and then I'll put it in the screen.
Okay.
Okay. And then that'll help. That is some interesting information too. I thought that was really good. So, I was going to ask you the question of was you certified, but it sounds like
Yep.
you are. Yeah, you know how
Yep.
some people, oh, I'm a life coach, but they're not
I
really
have
certified.
certifications in about 8 certifications in different areas.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And so it, for you personally, does it kind of like confuse you a little when you be dealing with all these different personalities and everything?
Nope. So this is what I tell people. It all falls under education.
Okay,
And so I take it as educating people. One thing that I do is take a mental break when I need to.
okay,
And I block out my schedule when I need to. And I let people know I'm taking a mental break. And I have no problem with that. Um fail to post. It said it's failed to post. I don't know. But you have to post
oh,
it.
did you send it to me? Did you put it in the comments?
Yeah, I think I did. And I hit the wrong, but I hit it too, and I shouldn't have.
Yeah, yeah, I don't see it in the comments, so that's why I
Yeah,
was.
you have to click it, right?
No, you can click it into the comments.
Oh, that's what I just did. And it says this comment has failed to post to inspirational. I wonder why.
Mm. Well, you know what? I can always add it at the end of
And
it.
I can do it offline too.
Yeah, that's
You know
fine.
what I do after we're done? I'll just go to the um I just go to the YouTube and edit.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine.
that's what I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, make sure I see it so I can add it also into the um, which one call it of the YouTube. But
Yeah,
so when
that's
I do the close editing and stuff, I usually like to add that in there.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was very interesting. I really enjoyed talking to you. Um, wow, that's just listening to you. So you do have moments where you talk to your students too. You
Oh,
take,
so my students are actually reading. This is our final book. My eighth graders. This is our final book. So I do want to talk about the book in the journal. This is our final book, and
okay,
they're going to high school, and
okay,
so that's why it was very important for me to have them us go through this 21-day journal. And what it does, journey, what it does is prepare them on some of the different things that they may encounter in high school, and it
hmm,
helps them to be mentally fit. And I tell them all the time, it's important to be mentally fit for change, mentally fit for what you're about to encounter in high school. And first of all, we cover loving yourself, um God first, then you, then other people. We cover all of this on Grow Up on Purpose, knowing who your purpose is. So there's a part in this book where I talk about advancing my purpose, knowing what my purpose is, even though other people may not be able to understand my purpose, still being um operating with a conviction that God has given you to live on purpose, grow up on purpose, and not be afraid to be who you are supposed to be. Be not afraid to tell people no. And so I coach them through this. And so with the journal too, I have prompt questions that causes them to think about who they are. Because sometimes it's like I told them, as 13 and 14-year olds, you don't think about these things,
nope,
but it's important because of the society that we are living in now and what the children are being bombarded with social media. See, we didn't have access to social media, the whole world at our fingertips as 13 and 14 years old. And so that's why I think it's very important for them to understand at an early age, what's your purpose? Do you have to get along just to get along? No, you don't. Be not afraid to say no to your peers, and things like that. Stuff you see on social media. The chapter we read today talked about eliminating distractions. And when they went over the question, one of the questions that what do you need to do to eliminate the distraction? And one girl said is to eliminate some people that I hang around, remove some of the things that I watch on TV, and all of those things. So it gets them to start thinking about themselves holistically. And so my students, this is the book that we're reading, and it covers all of these things. And I tell people all the time. So I actually published this book, the book in the journal. I published it this same year that I opened my company. And because
oh,
a lot of people couldn't afford my service, or didn't have time to sign up for services, I tell them to Grow Up on Purpose, and it gives them a glimpse of my coaching techniques and strategies, and it gives them goal setting tools that's in the book. It gives them a glimpse of what I coach people in real life. And so that book, as well as I have a book called I have tons of books, but these books are really good when it comes to managing your mental and coaching. Um, Coping with mental stress from a practical perspective, and it comes from a practical way, everyday way. How can I manage my mental health? And so coping with mental distress from a practical perspective, I tell my point of view on how I make sure that I'm taking care of my mind, and that I'm taking care of my brain, and that I'm taking mental breaks as often as I need to. And when I do find myself becoming anxious or becoming worried or becoming depressed, I use scriptures to meditate on. And so I list those scriptures in that book, and I give them to. And so it's just practical stuff. Sometimes people think it's real complicated, but sometimes it's not. Does it take practice? Yes, but once you get to practicing it, just like anything else, you become better. You become better at recognizing what's pulling you down because you're thinking about something negative, and you become better at replacing those negative thoughts with positive words or positive affirmations and things like that. And once you become better, you begin to share with other people. That's one thing I told my students. Once you finish this book and once you finish this journey, your goal is you are admonished to go out and share with somebody else, you
Yep.
know. And so that's the goal, you know.
Yep.
So I do
Some of
share.
that, what you was just saying, it's not only that's not only for young people though.
Yeah,
Some of us adults also need to separate ourselves from some of
yeah,
the people that we hang out with because a negative person can bring you down too. So you do have to be careful about your circle and who you let into your
most
circle.
definitely. And it says
Yeah.
the Bible, what the scripture says, bad company corrupts good character,
Yeah, just, yeah.
and
And
that's
then another thing is that when you was talking about the movies and stuff, we do have to be careful about the movies that we watch on TV. A lot of people don't believe this, but a lot of those spirits from those movies do come through those channels, and it's in your mind now. And
and that's the power of influence.
yep,
And so this is what I tell people, this is the power of influence. When you allow yourself to watch something so often, your behavior becomes influenced because what happens? You begin to rethink those things in your mind. And as you keep replaying those things in your mind, guess what? Your behavior and your mouth begin to speak those things. And
yep,
that's why I tell people, protect what goes in your ear gate and protect what the Bible tells us that. And
yep,
what's in your mind, because what plays in your mind, eventually you
comes
act it
on.
out and you speak it out,
Yep,
and that becomes your, and after so many times, so many practice, it becomes your behavior,
yep. And the
you know.
tongue is very powerful.
Hmm.
You could say some very powerful things with your tongue. So
Right,
you have to really be careful with that as well.
right. So I often say, think about what you're thinking about. And I say, how many
Hmm.
people do that? Think about what you're thinking about,
Yeah, yeah,
and that's very important. When
yeah,
you realize what you're thinking about, then you'll realize why your life probably the way it is.
yeah. That is so true.
Yeah,
You do, and you have to be careful.
yeah.
Guys. So I'm gonna ask you one more time to let the people know where they can find you at again. So if anyone is interested, because I'm sure there are some people that probably are interested. I'm really surprised I didn't get no questions unless there's a problem with the comments or whatever. But I'm really surprised that there were no comments in there. Because if you had some questions that you might want to answer, this probably is a good time for you to ask. So if
And
you have
even,
anything you want to say, you can put it in the comments.
yep, and then I can always go back and look at the comments and answer if they have anything. So they can find me at my website is www.growupempowerment.com. My email is Tamika at growupempowerment.com. They can find me on Facebook at Tamika Johnson or Grow Up Empowerment Life Coaching LLC. Instagram at Grow Up Empowerment or Tamika.Johnson.10, LinkedIn, Dr. Tamika Johnson, PhD, or my YouTube channel that I have, Grow Up Empowerment with Dr. Tamika. So,
Now you know who you remind me of, the
who?
female version. You're the female version of Les Brown. That's what it reminded me of. Just
That's a
listening
that's
to
a
some of the things.
compliment.
Yes, listening to some of the things you were saying. So I'm a big fan of Les Brown.
That's a compliment.
Yes. And yeah, I listened. Les Brown helped me out of a lot of situations. Les
Yeah.
Brown has helped me through with directions um, um, in my own life. So yeah, it does. Some of the things that you were saying, it sounded like I was listening to him.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's, thank you, thank you. And
You
so that's, that's my goal. I know what my calling is, and so I've been just praying God to let me reach the masses. If that be your will, my goal has always been to take Grow Up Empowerment Life Coaching globally across the world. And that's why I wanted to start. That's why I will be starting my virtual talk show, because the goal is going to be, only thing I need to know from every guest is, how are you using your purpose to bring about a positive change in this world? How are you letting your light shine? How are you bringing light and life into the world? And that's what we need to talk more about, stuff like this. How we, the power, and we talk about the power of influence. Can you just imagine if everybody spoke more positive? The world would be in a better place. Think about the power of influence. We think about music, think about um, TV shows and movies and things like that have negative influence. Can you just imagine if we just had so many positive movies and talk shows and things like that, how positive that the world would be? So that's the power again of influence.
See, yeah, it's working. Good evening, young man. Whoever it said the space, so I don't know who the space is, but good evening. Thank you
Yeah,
for tuning in, and thank you for making a comment, because I just was curious as to if the comments was working or not. Yeah.
yeah.
So thank you. I appreciate you. But yeah, yeah, that was really good, and I thought it was very powerful. And,
Thanks for having
the
me.
good thing is that I like the fact that before you do anything, your first thing is God. You put Him first.
Yes.
You
Amen.
know, sometimes during my journey and what I'm going through right now, I'm trying to get myself back to what I was doing, and it has been a journey. Oh, hey, Linda. She says, me, Linda. Hey, girl. Yeah, I'm trying to get me back to
Yeah.
in the path that I was on. Um, I had stopped doing my podcast, and I had a lot of people asking me, why you stop doing your podcast? And,
Right.
you know, I ain't gonna even lie to y'all. I hurt,
Right.
and I hurt deeply, but I know that there is something that I'm supposed to do. I just haven't quite figured it out yet. That there
Right.
is something I'm supposed to do with the hurt that I'm going through. I'm supposed to do something with it to help others.
Yep. And it's to share it. Share.
Hmm.
Share your pain. Share it with other people in due season whenever God release you to
Yeah,
share it.
yeah. But I get a lot of people um, that come to me and they go, I didn't even know you was going through that. You always smiling. I smile because my father is who is in control. It's not me.
Right.
It's
Right.
not me. I smile because of him. He keeps me
And
strong.
that's what helped me through my pain, is helping other people.
People.
That
Yeah.
helps me.
So I know that it's something that I'm supposed to do. I just haven't quite figured it out yet. But I know that it has something to do with her. And I actually been like working on her bracelets, because my
Oh,
daughter designed some bracelets.
okay.
And so I've been actually working on the getting them all manufactured and stuff like that. It's a process, um,
Yeah.
but there's a message behind it too with her bracelets. So yeah,
Yeah.
eventually I'll
Yeah.
get there. Yeah, but I truly appreciate you coming out today. I
Thanks for
appreciate.
having me.
Oh, no problem. I just knew I had to have you on here though, because I seen you. This is one of my sisters, y'all. This is one of my real star sisters. So
Yes.
yeah. So you gotta support your family. That.
And that's our outlet. That's our
Yeah.
outlet.
Yeah.
And I tell people, people say, why you always going to a new edition and somebody? I said, that's my outlet. And I have to have an outlet where,
Yeah.
and everybody, I admonish everybody to have an outlet that's outside of what you do every day,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's what keep you sane, and that's what keep you going, and that's what keep you feeling happy. Do something that you love to do.
Yeah.
Don't take away from yourself helping other people. Make
Yeah.
sacrifices for yourself. And if that means I gotta fly across this world to go to a concert, I will.
Yeah. And somebody just told me that too, because I was talking about something. I was telling them that I wanted to go to California. I've been wanting to go to California for years, ever since I can remember. I've been wanting to go there, just never got the nerves up to do it. And so I said, well, I saved this money just for this trip. They was like, you should be going. I said, well, I gave them every excuse in the world why I shouldn't go because, with the stuff that's happening with the planes. They said, and this is what this person told me. And I thought about this when they said that. They said, if it's your time to go, you going to go. It ain't
Right,
nothing you can do to stop when
right,
God says it's time for you to come home.
right. And that's true.
Hmm.
And that's another thing, eliminating fear.
Yeah.
Go ahead, and that's a trick of the enemy. And again, those negative thoughts that
Hmm.
hinder you from doing something for you, those
Yeah.
barriers.
Yep.
And it's practice. It takes practice to say, yeah, I'm feeling this type of way, but I'm gonna do it anyways. And before you know it, you're gonna start just doing it anyways, even if you feel fearful or. So it's practice.
Yeah. Hey, Darlene. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate you. He said, she
Hey,
said,
darling. Yeah.
and yeah, she said, indeed, sister stars. That's
Yes.
right, sisters. That's right.
Yes.
It's all about us working together, all of us being, family, doing the thing. You help each other. Because one thing I know for a fact is that not always is family blood. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
not always blood. I've learned that from the I've been recently like on this TikTok thing. I've been on
Mm,
that like seriously. But in that TikTok world, I have met some amazing people and they look out for each other.
right.
The support that you get. I said to myself, I said, yeah. I said, this is hard though. That's why I was telling one of the ladies. She said, no, but you're not giving up. All of a sudden,
Right.
all these people start coming in my live, and I was like, oh, I'm real. This is unreal. I
Right.
said, this is unreal. She said, this is what family do. We look out for
Support.
each other
Yes.
and we support
Yes.
each other. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I haven't brought your book yet, but I intend on buying it. But
Most
I do want to
definitely.
support you by, hey, get help you get whatever it is you need.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
I'm never a hater.
Yes.
This is what I was telling a young lady the other night. I told her, I said, well, let me tell you something. If you want advertisement or you want to do something, you got something you trying to talk to me about, present it to me with I need your bio. I need a
Right.
picture. Don't give me no Instagram picture, no Instagram bio. I don't want that. I want a professional picture and I
Right.
want a professional bio. The bio helps me to understand who I'm talking to.
Right.
It's not even about the telling everybody else. I'm not going to tell people what you just sent to me. The bio is for me to get an understanding, or whoever is with me that's doing the show. It's for us to get an understanding of who you are before we get to talking to you. You
Right.
know, so we got a feel already of who this person is. If
Right.
if you somebody that's worshiping something that I don't believe in, guess what? I'm not gonna have you on my show, and I'm gonna be honest with you.
Right.
You don't fit the criteria for my show. If you
Right.
somebody that's doing some kind of rap and is very disrespectful and distasteful to me, guess what? I'm not gonna invite you on here, and I'm gonna
Right.
tell you, no, you don't fit it. You don't fit the group of people that I'm talking about. What I want people to know about. It
Right.
said my show says inspirational talks. It does not say nothing about no, yeah, you be this and that. No, no,
Right.
I'm not gonna have that on my show. So, you know, yeah. So somebody was a little upset with me because I asked them for a bio and stuff, and
Oh.
the bio that they sent me was TikTok, a TikTok bio. That's not what I'm looking for. I need a
Right.
professional bio. When I ask you for a bio, I mean a professional bio. This young lady here, when I told her that what I needed, the young man before her, the people, the leafy green people, when I talked to them and I told them what I needed, I got professional
Right.
documents sent to me. So when I say you're welcome to come onto the show, I mean you're welcome to come onto the show, but you need to present those things to me. I need that
Right.
professional photo and that bio. So if you interested in coming on and talking, hey, it's open for you. But I need those things first so I can see if you fit into what I'm looking
Right.
for my show. Yep.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
So,
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
you have a good one. Man, that was really very, very inspirational,
Thank
and
you.
I'm glad that you was able to come on to the show today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um, and I thank you. I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, because I know you got a busy schedule.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Anytime, anytime. I'll
Mhm.
put that information in the comment section when we get off.
Oh,
Um, so they
okay.
can reach me. But thank you. And God
No,
bless your podcast.
Thank you for
thank
tuning in to
you.
Inspirational Talks with Laura Simmons and friends. And remember, tomorrow's not promised to any of us. So live your life to the fullest. And remember, put God first, and everything else will fall into place. All right, guys, I'm out of here. It's your girl, Laura Simmons. Peace.
Views and opinions expressed in this program are those of our guests and do not necessarily reflect Freedom Productions.
Thank you guys for tuning in to Inspirational Talks with Laura Simmons and friends. We are out of here. I love you guys. Peace.